What if I were to tell you that human beings are a feature of the Kali Yuga? What if I were to tell you that we are a physical manifestation of the end times of the universe? Would you believe me? Let's find out what the Hindu world age doctrine of the Yugas has to say about the function of human beings in the universe. People often speak about how human beings are a cancer on this planet. Now, does that mean that we are a feature of the Kali Yuga? And are we truly a cancer to this planet? Or is that an over-exaggeration? Well, let's unpack this from the Hindu Yuga perspective. First of all, when we look at the Yugas, we are in what is called the Kali Yuga, the dark age, where intelligence and virtue is reduced to a quarter, as opposed to the golden age of Satya Yuga, where we are at the peak of intelligence and virtue. And the Kali Yuga spans 432,000 years, and it is believed, according to the Puranas, that the Kali Yuga began 3102 BCE, when Krishna departed the world for the heavenly abode of Vaikuntha, Vishnu's abode. Vishnu here is a representation of Brahman. And this happened during the Kurukshetra war, which is famously depicted in the Mahabharata. You might be familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, which makes up a small part of the Mahabharata. Now, when Krishna either died or departed for Vaikuntha, it depends on how you look at it, but either way, when Krishna left, we began to forget about Brahman, about our ultimate nature, the ultimate oneness of reality. And we go through the slow process into materialism, where the mind becomes entangled with materialism, right? And so then, from this perspective, we begin to use the world for our own selfish means, and we forget the ultimate nature of our existence itself, of the entire universe, right? Because we even think that the Yugas is anthropocentric, because we think the world is always about us. But the Yugas is about the life of the universe. And so a lot of people speculate that we are an actual feature of the Kali Yuga. So we are like that cancer that a lot of people talk about, and we begin to destroy the world, and the world goes into a type of hellish realm before we come out of it and we go back into the Satya Yuga, the golden age. Now, I know what you're saying. We've been around for a long time, right? That's right. We've been around for a long time. We didn't just come here at 3102 BCE. We've been here for a long time. But the point that a lot of people are making, and when scholars and that speak about the Kali Yuga and about us being a feature, is that we continually go into this type of dualistic thinking, right? Where our mind becomes even more fragmented than it's ever been before. And this happens continually year after year, especially with the advent of technology. And so we originally sprang from the source, right? We originally sprang from Brahman, but we continually develop this dualistic thinking. And as it continually gets fragmented through time, we continually forget Brahman. We forget the ultimate reality of existence. And it is only kept alive through scripture and through people passing down the teachings from lineage to lineage. And this is why a lot of people revere Vyasa, because Vyasa was the scribe and sage who wrote down all of these great texts like the Puranas, the Mahabharata, to pass down to people he knew in the Kali Yuga would need spiritual guidance. And so there would be people who were spiritually starved, probably you watching this video right now, who are seeking greater knowledge in the Kali Yuga. And so why Vyasa did that was so that we can remember that oneness is the true reality. But as we move in to the Kali Yuga, we become more dualistic, and our thinking becomes more dualistic. And this is what they are talking about with human beings being a feature or an aspect of the Kali Yuga. And so then we basically develop an intellect based on duality, and as a result, we lose our innocence from trying to be too smart and intelligent. And that smarts and intelligence is based on duality, not based on the ultimate reality. Because if it was based on the ultimate reality, we would still have our innocence, our original natural innocence, but we lose it because we become a know-it-all. So in saying all that, are we really a feature of the Kali Yuga? No. And I also don't believe that we are a cancer on this planet. I don't believe that. I believe that is an over-exaggeration by people who have probably got a vested interest in telling you that. Rather than being a feature of the Kali Yuga, what we truly are is an opportunity. An opportunity to come back to the impartial mind so that we realize the oneness of reality. That is the opportunity for all of us, right? To realize that ultimate reality and to come back to that impartial mind, which actually is the soil that allows the true understanding that oneness is the only reality to flourish. Now, why I say that is because the human being is the seed of the Satya Yuga. Now, why are they the seed of the Satya Yuga? Because a human being has the chance to be Kalki avatar. Now, you're probably asking, what is Kalki avatar? Are you talking about some type of movie? No, I'm not. When we look into the philosophy of Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism, there are 10 avatars of Vishnu, the ultimate reality of Brahman, right? Vishnu is a representation of that ultimate reality. And there are 10 avatars. Now, the most recent ones are Rama, Krishna, and Buddha. For all three, I'm sure you all know. And so the last one was the Buddha. So not that long ago when we're talking about the span of the Yugas, because we're only talking about 2,500 years ago in relation to the Buddha. But the next avatar is Kalki, right? Now, it is believed that Kalki will come about at the end of the Kali Yuga. Now, when we look at the Kali Yuga, it's 432,000 years. So the end of this Kali Yuga is a long time away. But I don't really think that that's what they are saying. I believe Kalki, in some sense, is a metaphor and symbolic of our own life and our path on the way to our own personal golden age, to our understanding that oneness is the ultimate reality. Though, sure, if we look at it, maybe there will be an avatar called Kalki towards the end of this Kali Yuga, but if we use the philosophy of Sanatana Dharma and we understand it at a deep level, it does relate to us in our own personal cycle of the Yugas, right? We are a reflection of the all. And so it would not be a stretch to think that we are all Kalki if we understand our own nature, and in understanding our own nature, we embody the golden age of Satya Yuga. We embody the consciousness of the Satya Yuga. And so what does embodying the consciousness of the Satya Yuga really mean? Well, it doesn't mean Kalki ushers in an idealistic utopia for everyone to live in. That would be a stretch, and that would also imply that Kalki has an agenda, which does not make any sense. So what it really means is that we live in a world where we leave each other alone and have mutual respect for each and every one of us. And that is the paradox of unity, right? The paradox of unity and oneness can only be understood when we leave everyone alone to live their life without interfering with them. This is the golden age of the collective and the individual. They are a mirror, a reflection of each other. And so that is what it is. The golden age of Satya Yuga is not some idealistic utopia. Based on who? Based on what religion? Based on what ideology? Based on what political leaning? Exactly. It's not like that. It's about leaving everyone alone and having mutual respect for each and every one of us. And imagine if we did that, right? Imagine the world that we would live in if we just allowed people to live out their natures without anyone or any established government or ideology interfering with the collective and the individual. And so all in all, no, human beings are not a feature of the Kali Yuga, but we can be affected by the consciousness of the Kali Yuga, which is when our mind is entangled with the material world, right? The characteristic of the Kali Yuga is materialism. So we can be an aspect of the Kali Yuga when we embody that dualistic state of mind. But if we're on the path and we understand from the impartial mind the nature of reality, which is the oneness of Brahman, then we will embody the consciousness of the Satya Yuga in the midst of the dark times of the Kali Yuga. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.